Good day, guys. Sorry, we had a minor, or will I say major issue with the volume or with the sound of the previous live stream, so I had to like restart it again because this topic is very, very important. This topic is like over vital. We cannot just like go over it anyhow. So welcome, guys. If you're new to this channel, this is Princess Anu-TV, and we talk about aviation, motivation, and adventure. Today we're going to be talking about a case of hijack. And when you talk about hijack, basically you're looking at an unlawful interference, like when terrorists or whatever like take up an aircraft. Hi Yomi Awi, sorry I had to end the previous live stream because it had no volume, and thanks for Yomi Yemi Balo that made me know that it had no volume. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope you can also see me. I hope you don't have any problem with this live stream. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I can see more persons are coming in, joining in. Thank you so much. Personally, I actually thought that I would miss today's live stream because I was like up and down, and and I'm happy I'm here today. FNG Tampico. That sounds like the name of one of our aircrafts in NCAT. The Tampico aircraft. Welcome on board. Obo Wisdom, thank you so much. I'm happy this one you can hear me, you can see me, and everything. So we're going to be talking about the hijack of a particular aircraft. Now, to be specific, an Air France aircraft. This was an A300, an Airbus aircraft to be precise, and this happened in 1994. And like you all know, hijack is something that is a little bit complicated. Meg site, welcome on board. This is the first time I'm seeing you on this channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. Please do me that favor, subscribe. It kind of helps the channel move, so please do well to subscribe. So guys, as I was saying, this happened in 1994. And come on, what really got me like excited, I was actually like, during the initial phase of watching that accident investigation concerning that hijack. But what really gave me courage was the way the captain treated the whole situation. The captain was, come on, see, to become a captain, I've said it before, it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. So we need to like give a minute clap for every captain out there in that industry. Seriously, the captain did a super awesome job. Like, I would not say he was fully calm. Hi Maiwa, it's nice having you. I would not say he was fully calm, but I know he could like ascertain and take care of the situation to the best, like to the best of his knowledge. He did a good job in that aircraft. So basically this flight was taking off, and it was supposed to go, it was, I think the specific flight, it was flight 8969. Yeah, flight 8969 that was supposed to be taking off, I think from Australia to France. It was carrying Australians, it was also carrying some French persons, and one or two foreigners actually were on board. And before they knew what was happening, I think the first problem there was that these terrorists actually came in as policemen. They actually claimed to be policemen. And so when they entered into the aircraft, they were like, okay, we are policemen, we just want to like check your passports. This happened in 1994. I'm sure maybe at that time they allowed policemen to kind of maybe enter, check the aircraft, because on a normal day, if we think about it, these are things that are supposed to be done during your boarding. Like, they're supposed to check everything during your boarding. Why now come to the aircraft to come and start checking people again and again? Like, if you think about it, to me it doesn't make sense. But thank God that things have actually like upgraded, things have actually changed. Nowadays you don't see any policeman or aviation personnel coming into the aircraft to like check. So that was the first indication. These guys claimed to be policemen, and they came into the aircraft to like check boarding passes and all that. During the process of checking, the cabin crew and the pilots, they began to notice some like change, and one of them actually entered the cockpit. The main guy, as the head of the terrorists, they actually entered the cockpit. I've subscribed to your channel a long time ago. I haven't been comment. Oh, I'm happy that you commented now. Nice having you, Meg site. Nice having you here. So basically, guys, The leader entered into the cockpit and he was asking that the pilot take off immediately, that they want to have a conference meeting in France. Take off immediately, like they held the aircraft hostage. And you know what they teach us in flight school, when your aircraft is held hostage, there's a particular code that you have to like insert in, and that's 7500, yeah, because 7600 is for radio communication failure, 77, these are codes actually that we put, distress codes that we have to put like in our transponder to make sure that you are like you kind of pass the information saying this, they'll automatically know that the aircraft is being hijacked. And another indication to show that aircraft is being hijacked also is if you taxi with flaps. When you see a person taxiing with flaps, most of the time that aircraft has been hijacked. So these are like two indications that you get to know that the person has been hijacked. And I think he kind of like put that code, but during the process of everything, the guy was asking that they take off, and like you know the ladder and like all those attachments they put for people to like board into the aircraft were still like attached to the aircraft. So obviously the aircraft could not move. And they kept on calling the control tower, this aircraft has been hijacked, we want to take off immediately, blah 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 blah. And I just like, seriously, I really admire the captain for that flight. And he kept on telling the control tower what the hijackers actually wanted from them. But the people, they obviously were not like following. They were obviously not like they didn't want to like give in to that hijack, because obviously they had about 173 persons on that aircraft, and they didn't know what was going to happen. If they took off, we didn't actually get to their destination, just like what happened in 9/11. These guys took off. Everybody was thinking, okay, it's a normal flight, and they took over the aircraft and went into the Twin Tower. They entered. Come on, these hijackers can do anything. And that's one thing, when people are brainwashed, saying, okay, we have to like deal with this country has been messing with us, blah blah blah. What do you gain from killing people? Well, that's by the way, we're going to talk about that in a different video. But you gain nothing. You gain exceptionally nothing from killing people, from, you know, even killing yourself. Like, you gain nothing from it. So, well, let's continue. And they were asking to take off. The country decided that these guys were not going to take off. They were not going to give clearance. They were not going to remove. In fact, they parked vehicles on the runway basically, so that no matter what's going to happen, the captain cannot take off. And the captain was, you know, playing the game with them one after the other. The terrorists would say, tell the control tower this, and they'll keep like telling he will keep telling the control tower. The terrorists will talk, he will pass the message. And you know what? The guys got angry. That's the terrorists, the hijackers basically. They got angry and they made up their mind they were going to kill people. So they brought out the first person and shot the first person, put the person out, and they knew this was serious. They killed like 2 persons. The pilots initially did not know until the cabin crew came in. These guys were on ground for a day. I mean like a whole full day they were on ground. This was one of the longest hijack, because this hijack actually lasted for about 3 days, 3 good days. Can you imagine being in an aircraft? I don't even know what the passengers and everybody would have been feeling at that time, but being in an aircraft stationary first for the whole day, then before they allowed the aircraft to move, the aircraft had to move like the next day. And when the aircraft actually finally took off, in fact, that's another thing I had to give in my mind. I'm like, come on, these pilots, they did a great job. They did a great job because despite the duress, they were able to fly that aircraft and fly it well, because now their fuel actually, because they were running the APU, which is like a standby generator, something like that in an aircraft. So they were running it, and so their fuel had gone to a certain level that it will not be able to take them to their final destination. And so what the captain actually told the terrorists was that he has to fly to a particular place before, so that they can refuel, then fly to the next place. But during the process of them strategizing and all that, the other country, obviously, they were thinking, okay, Australia, the Prime Minister of France and all these things, they were thinking, how are we going to take charge of this situation? So the next place that the pilot was supposed to fly to, the guys had already strategized that if these guys come here, we are not going to allow them take off. The first thing we are going to do is that we are going to bring our men. So they already brought their men. They were trying to like outsmart the terrorists. The truth is that actually some terrorists, in fact, during the end of the video, I could see that the cabin crew and all that, she actually said something. She was like, God was so merciful that these terrorists were actually apprenticed, in the sense that they were actually learning their jobs. If they were actually serious terrorists, they might not have been able to survive it. So during the course of them moving from that particular airport, I think that was in Australia, to, they had to like interconnect. So they were moving to another airport before they could fly to France finally. When they got to that airport, there was this follow me car, because when you land in an airport you're not maybe very familiar with, or maybe you don't really know how to move, maybe at night or so, there's a car that comes along. I know we as passengers, we don't see the cars, but as pilots in the cockpit, most of the time you have to like see the car. You now follow the car, and the car is going to take you to the place you're going to park, in the airport or anywhere like around that they have designated that you will park. So there was this follow me vehicle, and the follow me van like directed them to where they were going to park that aircraft. And so the people, like the both governments had already strategized, if these guys come here, this is what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do, and that. But these things, the terrorists were trying to also outsmart them. The terrorists were saying that they were going to France for a conference meeting. And so what the country said was that if you want to go to France for a conference meeting, why not have the conference meeting here and then on the aircraft? And so they've moved everybody from the front part of the aircraft to the rear of the aircraft. So that place was kind of free, but it was a strategy from the country, so that if they want to bombard the aircraft, they know that they're going to like release persons and follow the terrorists exactly at the point where they are. And so they were like, okay, the terrorists were like, by 5 p.m, make sure they refuel this aircraft, and so that we can move from this particular point. But obviously, these guys, that's the country and everybody, they were not like ready to actually move them from that point. So they were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. By 5 p.m, if this thing is not fueled, we're going to kill one more person. Whoa, it was almost like going to be like a bloodbath between like the terrorists, the people on board, and probably everybody in the environment. But good enough, the captain was still calm. Like, I could not just imagine. The captain was calm, though the flight engineer was kind of like fidgeting in the video. We don't know whether it happened like real life, whether the flight engineer was actually fidgeting real life. But so that it doesn't make engineers look like somehow, because someone is going to be like, oh, let's not try and say engineers are actually scared and all that. No, but the captain knew that he was responsible for every life on board, and that's something that you should know as a pilot. You should know that you're responsible for millions. In quote, why I say millions is that, yes, you might have maybe 200 persons on your aircraft, but you have like more than 1,000 persons on ground. So if peradventure there's an issue and that aircraft may crash land, or they're going to bomb the aircraft, or whatever is going to happen to the aircraft, you are responsible for both for the people on board and for the people on ground. So I can basically say you're responsible for thousands of persons. And if you always have that at the back of your head, that you're responsible for thousands of persons, there are some decisions you will definitely not make. Welcome, guys. I can see more persons are joining. Don't forget, give this video a thumbs up. It's very, very important. Today is the episode 4 of the lessons that we are learning from the air crash investigations, accident investigations, and all that. So do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up if you like my story time. And we're going to be ending this story time today. Don't forget. So we're going to continue like with other learnings when they were there, and this country they were no longer patient with these guys, with these hijackers. It was like, okay, whatever is going to happen, the worst that is going to happen, let it happen. And guys, like, you know, this is a true life story. 173 persons on board the aircraft with terrorists, like 5 terrorists on board that aircraft. Okay. And during the press, don't forget, during the press of everything, they had already killed like 3 persons. So when they were on ground at that particular point in that area, waiting for them to refuel so that they can take off, the military men and everybody were not like they were no longer having patience with these guys. So like they came on board and they began to shoot. When they began to shoot, the terrorists were not like Probably they were no longer confident, because imagine staying 3 days on board an aircraft. I'm sure they were already like worn out, they were down. You could see it's like based on the video anyways, which is a true construction of what actually happened. They were kind of down, they were kind of like weary. Okay, what's going to happen now? Okay, what's going to happen? Are these guys about to outsmart us? What? And so the shooting started. There was a serious, like, they began to like pa everywhere was. And so because they had moved the terrorists to a particular point, which they were hoping to like have a conference meeting, it was easy for them to evacuate the passengers. And so 170 of the passengers, including the crew, they dismissed out of the aircraft in a space of 4 to 5 minutes. Immediately the shooting started. It was easy to like evacuate these other guys. And now it was remaining the pilot, the co-pilot, and the flight engineer in the cockpit. So what happened about the co-pilot? What the co-pilot did was so funny. Actually, the moment the shooting started and he discovered that they shot one of the terrorists inside the cockpit, what he did was that he broke the glass with, obviously there's always an axe, which in case of emergency and all that, you have to like break the glass and like come out of it. He kind of like broke the glass and jumped out of the window. What came into my mind? Hi, Anu-Timothy, welcome aboard. What came into my mind was that, come on, this co-pilot left his captain to face all the issues by himself. Actually, it's not funny. Actually, guys, it's not funny, because as a co-pilot and as a captain, you're supposed to face, and I'm going to use the word, you're supposed to like journey through the whole process together. But this co-pilot obviously did not want to die, and he jumped out of the window. The moment he got like a way of escape, he jumped out of the window. And actually, him jumping out of the window gave the firing squad guys, the military men and all that were actually helping these guys, gave them a clear view of how the cockpit was and how they could like fight against the hijackers. So now, after they finished evacuating people, killing most of the terrorists, in fact, I forgot to mention that they actually brought the terrorist mother, because they had to go and look for the terrorist mother, and brought her to the control tower to talk to her son. And the guy was more furious, like, come, you guys went to bring my mother. Like, they are with my mother. They are with my mother. It actually made him more furious. And he wanted to actually kill more persons, but thank God he didn't actually kill more persons. Kill more persons like after that incident. So what actually happened was that, because one of the terrorists was actually wearing the jacket of the pilot, so when the SWAT guys, the guys that were that came to like fight against the hijackers, when they came to the cockpit, they were kind of confused. Who is the captain and who is actually terrorist? And he was like, I'm the captain of this flight. And they were like, put your hands on your head and walk out of this aircraft. He was like, I'm not going to put my hands on my head, but I'm going to walk out of the aircraft. Because I think finally in the notes, he was like, how will I spend my time saving the lives of everyone on this aircraft, and you guys still want me to like put my hands on my head and walk out of the aircraft as if I'm a thief or something? But seriously, I actually admire. One thing I wanted to talk about, part of the lessons I actually learned, which I think we should all go home with, is that the captain was actually very courageous. Despite what was happening in the cockpit, he never lost hope on the lives of the persons on board. If we were some other persons, they would have caused like a havoc that would make the terrorists not patient. But what he was doing was that he was buying time. I got to discover that the captain had to buy time with these guys. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is actually what this. In fact, they were basically teaching the terrorists actually how the aircraft functions, just to buy time. So you see, some of these things are really not taught in flight school, but these are things that you will have to learn in real life situations, guys. In real life situations, it's just like when people say, can you imagine, I met robbers on the way and this what happened, that's what happened, and some people will be like, come on, can you not do this, can you not do that? Those guys are only talking because they've not experienced exactly what you've experienced. And experience, people always say experience is the best teacher, but the main thing is that there are some situations that you cannot fathom in your mind how they are basically going to happen. So basically, some of these things are not taught in flight school. It seems the pilots have watched Money Heist, so they were buying time. a lot about that movie. Funny enough, I've never even watched the movie Money Heist, but I think it's kind of a movie that's going to really teach a lot. Maybe some other time we're going to do like movie series concerning some movies and things we've learned. But I can tell you, basically the pilots were buying time. They really the captain was thinking. And funny enough, after that incident, he still flew for an extra 9 years. I think he still flew for like 9 years. Yeah, 9 years. And he like had a nice time. He retired from Air France. He flew for like extra 9 years after that incident. But note something, after that incident, the world had another incident that it was so difficult to recover from. That was the 9/11. So sometimes some incidents actually lead to bigger other incidents. That's why we should always keep ourselves alert. There's no time that everything is going to happen perfectly. There's no time that everything is going to like always work out perfectly. But when we keep learning, when we keep like putting our heads together to know, okay, what are we going to do at this time? How are we going to like strategize? What can we do? That's part of why in emergency situations, they kind of expect a lot. Like if you come into an emergency situation, now what are you going to do? I know as STEM pilots, there's always this thing we usually say, in the case of any emergency, I'll give you controls, and you have controls, sir. I have control. Sometimes these things can be like you get so used to them when you're like flying, but when the real emergency comes, you're like, I'm telling you, most of the time when the real emergency comes, it's really not easy to like maneuver. So it will be what you've learned over time that's going to like give you the strength, the courage to like take charge of that particular emergency. So guys, based on those 4 episodes, yeah, emotional shock, thanks for that, Maiwa. Emotional shock sets in, and yeah, you don't know, like you seriously don't know how to go about the situation. So guys, I not like we are trying to prepare for the worst, but it's better to be prepared than to be caught unprepared. That's basically what I'm trying to say in this video. It's always good to prepare emotionally, psychologically. Okay, what if this happens? Like I said yesterday, it's not good to put yourself or to put an aircraft in a place you've not been 5 minutes earlier. That means you should always be ahead of the aircraft. And if you must always be ahead of the aircraft, in your mind you have to be ahead. In everything you do, basically you have to be ahead. So guys, I hope you've learned from those 4 episodes that we've had from this air crash investigations, aircraft series, accident investigations, because it's very, very important. Like Captain Joe always used to say, a good pilot is always learning. And I keep telling you guys on this channel, keep learning, keep reading, keep watching videos, keep anything that's going to improve you. Basically, these are things that you have to be doing. So guys, from tomorrow and on and on and on, we're going to continue like in the other talks, in the other like chats, chit chats, and all that, so that we keep having the best and the best during this period of the lockdown. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget, give it a thumbs up. It's very, very important. It helps the channel move. And also subscribe if you've not subscribed. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. Bye guys.